following our dashing all of our hopes of Japan being this paradise that we all want to see, and how they mistreat you for being a gaijin, and how anime culture misrepresents Japan.
Oh, good God. We're going to go down that rabbit hole, are we?
That's the reason we brought you on the show, let's be honest.
We don't want to be excited for anything, please.
Fact-checking anime.
I'll do my best to spill all the goss on Japan, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Don't you worry.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead and start. What's the worst thing about Japan?
The worst thing about Japan? Probably the love hotels, to be honest. They sound good, but they're not.
Really?
Are you familiar with the concept?
Mean?
Really? Are you familiar with the concept of a love hotel?
Yeah.
You know what they are?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you go in and you pay like $50 and you get like what looks like a nice room for $50. You get it for one night, and it comes all sorts of cool stuff, like a nice bed, nice karaoke, sometimes a jacuzzi, but often they're really dirty and scummy and unpleasant. And the worst night's sleep I ever had was in a love hotel. I woke up and there was just a cockroach walking across my pillow. I vowed there and then to never go in a love hotel again.
I don't think you're not meant to be sleeping at love hotels, right?
I'm not going to dig myself a hole there, but it was unpleasant. But no, I suppose they're all right. I suppose love hotels aren't that bad. That isn't the worst thing about Japan. Just be careful which love hotel you find yourself in, particularly the ones in Shibuya in Tokyo. Have any of you guys actually been to Japan? Like, how much do you know about the country?
No,
only what I've seen in
we
anime.
wanted to,
No.
but
spiritual.
No, we all wanted to. We even had plans to go as a group, but then your neighbors, China, decided to just release a virus and put all travel on hold. So we can't. We do want to, though.
It was a real shit show. I had so many people coming over last year. I think PewDiePie was supposed to move to Japan last year as well, but didn't as a result. But still make sure you come over though. Like, there's a lot to see and a lot to do, and it's a pretty awesome country. When all the dust settles eventually.
Yeah, we're still definitely planning on coming over once coronavirus ends.
So would you agree
my most
then?
Desired destination.
Would you agree then on that sentiment where it's like Japan is kind of a wonderland, where just all the things that people say about it are right and true, and there is just a whole bunch of great shit, a lot of advanced technology? Do you think that rings true for it?
It's not that technologically advanced. It's not as like super duper technologically advanced as people think, because they still use fax machines, for God's sake. I mean, I don't even know what they are. Fax machines. They are phased out in like the 90s in the UK, but they still use them every day here.
Maybe they're really high-tech fax machines.
This is the goss. Japan is not the paradise we think it is.
I mean, I think it is maybe the closest to a utopian society there might be in the world. And that's a bold statement, but it gets a lot of things right. I remember my first year living in Japan, I was in Starbucks editing a video, and I really wanted to go to the toilet. And I was like, shit, I've got to close down my laptop, put it all in my bag and my wallet and my phone, or I could just go to the loo and leave it all there on the table. Now, I would never have done that in the UK. I would have locked it away in a bag, shoved it in a safe, then gone to the toilet. But because it's Japan, I was able to leave all my stuff on the table, go to the loo, come back, and it was all there. And things like that are nice. You never have to look over your shoulder in Japan. Crime is pretty low, and it gets a lot of things right like that. Yeah. And everything seems to work.
So going on that kind of tangent, though, Japan's population diversity, I mean, they're like 98% Japanese. You don't ever feel kind of maybe discriminated against or nothing negative from you being a foreigner in that way, then?
Have they ever been racist to you?
Yeah.
Please say yes.
We're going straight in the deep end.
We want to hear the worst, because everyone who goes to Japan, and especially people who make vlogs, they're always like, oh, it's great, and here's the cultural differences, but I don't know how deep they get into the nitty gritty of like, yeah, here's what sucks, here's what I hated. You know what I mean?
They threw sushi at me. They called me a baka gaijin.
They threw sushi at me. It's honestly, I've never experienced any form of racism that's made me feel uncomfortable, which is insane. Like, I'm always on the hunt for it. Like, if I experience racism, I'm going to jump on that.
Discriminate me!
Perpetual victim.
Call me slurs, please!
I long for the day, I thought it would have happened by now, where I could talk about an experience of incredible racism in a YouTube video, but it hasn't happened, and I'm quietly
Start being racist to yourself,
The only thing,
try to get other people to do it to you.
Well, yeah, I
yourself
should
racist terms.
just bribe someone to like, punch me in the face. But I guess actually that's not entirely true. One form of discrimination you get is when you rent a place. Like a lot of places in Japan, they don't rent apartments to foreigners, and that's something you got to face. Like I remember when I first moved to Sendai, where I am now, it took me like 2 or 3 attempts to get a place. Like I called up and they were like, "Oh yeah, you can live here." And then when they discovered I was foreign, they were like, "Oh no, it's very difficult. Fuck off." And that was pretty depressing to have that kind of experience.
Yeah,
but
wait, why? That's
just
pretty
because
fucked up.
I think they don't trust. I think a lot of foreigners just run away without paying the bill or something. I guess the point, like, if you're a Japanese person who owns an apartment and you get 10 people and one of them's foreign, you're probably going to do it you're probably going to rent it out to one of the 9 people that are Japanese, right? It's a bit more, it's a bit safer of an option, right?
That's funny because we do the exact opposite to expats in Turkey. So if you're a foreigner, like an American, wanting to rent a place, your landlord is going to be like, "Oh, finally, someone who's not Turkish. This guy might actually pay. He's not going to stink up the place." He'll be civilized.
Here. If only. But I mean, that is the most. That is kind of the only racism I've really experienced that's made me feel a bit depressed or sad. Other than that, people are pretty nice. Older people can be a little bit dodgy. I remember I was in a waiting room for a train just 2 days ago, and an old man came in and saw me, and I must have been in his favourite seat or something, because he kept looking at me and going. Like that. And over the period of half an hour while I was waiting for the bullet train, he incrementally got closer to me and kept going. It's like a fucking horror movie, and I wanted to turn around and go, "What are you fucking doing?" But I'm nice. I'm a nice person. I didn't do that.
They let anyone in this country
I guess that's
now.
another form. Yeah, deported for shouting at an old man and giving him a heart attack. But yeah, I guess that's another form. Elderly people can be pretty dodgy sometimes here. If you're going to experience racism in Japan, it's going to be from someone who's over 70. That's all I'll say on that
I feel
subject.
like this is the same as everywhere, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most racist people are generally pretty old.
So your natural instinct there on wanting to tell them to fuck off, would you say Japan has made you kind of more toned down, more socially reserved? How has it affected you living there?
I think, I'm less. That's a good question. I think, I'm nicer, to put it simply. I am more polite to people. Like in Japan, people are so bloody polite, and you feel like you have to join in. You don't want to be that dickhead foreigner who turns up and breaks all the rules. Like, I think a lot of foreigners come to Japan, they think, "I'm going to rock the boat. I'm going to change things around here." And then you pretty much fall into line over the first 2 years until you become polite. But it's a difficult thing to explain. But when you learn the Japanese language, you're learning the Japanese mindset. And when you think in a Japanese mindset, what goes along with that is the sort of behavioural patterns and things. And it has made me a nicer person, but usually only when I speak Japanese. When I'm speaking English, I'm still a dickhead. So only when I switch to Japanese, right, that's when I become nice. That's why I don't do it in my videos.
Jekyll and Hyde kind of
stick in
scenario.
That's sweet.
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde, pretty much. Yeah, actually, a lot of my friends, depending on what language they're speaking, if they speak Japanese, they switch. They become way nicer and more polite. And then when they switch to English, they can be more outspoken. I feel like in Japan, you are more reserved on your opinions. You're not the sort of... It's the complete opposite to like the UK and America, right? Where you sort of walk into a room and you're like, "Listen, motherfuckers, this is my opinion. This is how it is, and accept that." In Japan, you would never do that. You just sort of nod along and keep your opinions to yourself.
So
unless
is it a
you're at bar
limitation
getting
of the
drunk with mates.
Japanese language? Like, is it just how the Japanese language is designed, or is it something deeper than that?
It's just the way the culture is. It's all about harmony and being a team player and a collectivism. You just sort of fall into line, really, and you don't want to rock the boat. And it's been weird, kind of embracing that personality, that sort of new character. Like when you come to Japan, you have to almost build a new character. Because it's really hard to just be yourself and switch to another language. You have to sort of build your whole character around it.
Sounds almost kind of scary, to be honest. It sounds like you've completely turned into a different person.
A better person.
Jekyll and Hyde.
No,
A better person.
Conformism is fucking strong there, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. And I mean, if I had a kid, which isn't going to happen, I don't think I want kids, but in the event that I did, I would probably struggle to raise them in Japan for that reason. Like, Japan raises kids to be part of Japanese society, but it doesn't raise them in a way to adapt to the world, right? I feel like someone raised in Japan would have a hard time leaving Japan and adapting to the world.
So is that English you talking? I don't want a kid, but Japanese you is like, yes, I will have a child. Yes, of course.
I just don't want children. I was a teacher when I first moved here for 3 years, and that cemented my position on not wanting children.
That'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it, right? Being a teacher for 3 years.
But those are other people's kids. Yours will be different.
Yeah, his will be cool.
It'll be better.
Yeah, they'll be able to skateboard and stuff.
Yeah, they'll smoke cigarettes and everything. Yeah.
Yours will be with you 24/7, unlike other people's kids. That'll be so much better.
I think if you raised a kid who lived in Japan and the UK, they would grow up to be like a super child, because they'd have the sort of confidence and adventurous spirit of a British person. I don't know if that's what British people are actually like. Maybe I've made that up. But
Or
have that sort of confidence.
Or they'd be really shy and rude. Either way.
They could be, yeah. And they've got their sort of that confidence of a British person mixed with the humbleness of a Japanese person. You could have like a super child. So, could work. Maybe I should reevaluate my strategy.
Yeah, have as many children as you can.
I might, and then you beat him with a ruler if he fails his math exam.
That's
How true is the whole Japanese youth don't fuck and the birth rate is declining? How true is all that
How
stuff?
true are the stats of the birth rate declining? Can you
How
confirm?
true are the certifiable
curious,
figures?
When was the last time you went to a maternity ward, Chris?
Have you ever seen a Japanese baby, Chris?
Japanese people don't date. They just work. They work themselves to death. None of them ever date or, just have fun or romance or love. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean,
is it just a myth?
No, it's pretty true. The work culture is brutal. Like, all of my Japanese friends have the most hardcore lifestyles. There isn't like a line between work and pleasure in Japan. It's just work, and that is all you do. And that is why I'm very lucky to do this as a YouTuber, right? And sit in my bedroom and make videos, because I think it'd be difficult to work in a Japanese company. And I know a lot of people that do it, and it is tough. Like, you have to do overtime. You often don't get paid for it. And you become like a real part of the company. Like in the West, when you work for McDonald's, you're just working for McDonald's, right? But if you work for McDonald's in Japan, you become like a part of the company and an extension of the company. And it's a hard thing to explain, but it's...
But do you get the benefits from becoming part of McDonald's? Like, do you get McDonald's stock or something? Like, what
are the
happens?
benefits of becoming part of McDonald's?
I don't know.
You know, you get
Off chicken McNuggets.
yeah, you get spicy nuggets once a week.
I mean, that is a pretty good benefit. But no, like it's tough. Like, so people have a pretty hardcore work life, have a pretty hardcore work culture. So yeah, people aren't having kids because it's just so bloody stressful. They don't have the disposable income, and it's a real problem. So yeah, the country's got to sort it out. We need to import more foreigners to raise the population.
Well, it sounds like they did. They got you in there. And you don't want kids either anymore. You can't win over there.
I'm part of the fucking problem.
You go there,
aren't
you
I?
don't want kids.
Part of the problem. What am I become? But yeah, it's a problem. The population at the moment, I think it's shrinking. When I arrived, it was 128 million in 2012, and now it's 125 million, and it's forecast to drop below 100 million by, I think, 2050.
Oh, wow.
Which is a pretty big decline.
That's not too bad, though. That's only 3 million people.
Yeah.
3 million.
It's kind of bad.
Did you
It's
do the
not-
math?
Well, no. What it's at now compared to where
currently.
we got. Yeah.
Well,
Right, yeah.
allegedly, it seems
once
they're going to lose like a fifth of their population.
Yeah.
Once, who's going to pay the pensions there? And that's the real problem. And so, the country's got some serious issues. I don't know what they're going to do. Build some robots. Fuck knows, but that'll sort it out.
Some
I love the way,
robots
like,
exterminate. Oh, right.
that
you
always
need to
comes
work.
up, doesn't it? That they're going to make like a robot and it's going to solve the situation. I've seen Asimo the robot, and it can kick a ball, and that is about it. I don't think Asimo or robots are going to save Japan's population. Only sex will do that.
American robots are winning out on them now. We've got fucking Boston Dynamics and shit. They can't touch
Yeah,
us.
you guys are
Yeah.
in trouble.
They can dance.
But like, what
They
They'll
can
be able to
dance.
seduce women.
politicians doing? Do you guys get stimulus checks for having sex or anything? What are they doing to solve this?
Yeah, what is the solution, really?
I don't know. It's not my field of
force people to
expertise. I
fuck.
think they do pay people, like they give out money for people to have kids and stuff.
That's very
Possibly.
nice of them. But
That's
then
so
it'd have to be a
considerate.
whole lot of money to be worth it, because raising a kid takes money.
Yeah.
So you're not really
Yeah.
making money.
I mean, for a country that has so many love hotels, you think they'd be able to sort